Hey guys, how are you today? Super happy to be back here. And on another episode on our show, The Trade Spot. And today we have Louise. Louise, it's an incredible pleasure having you on our show, The Trade Pod. And we're so grateful for having you here. And so before we start to dive in into your background and where you came from, I would like to ask you. First of all, how are you today? And if you will be able to introduce yourself to the audience.
Of course. So thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. So I'm doing very well today. And yeah, I'll introduce myself. My name is Louise Nonweiler, and I am the founder of Hypnosis for Traders. And I've been working successfully with traders for over 10 years, over a decade now. So yeah, I'm very passionate about what I do. I also do have a podcast called Trading in the Zen, but I work in quite a unique way with traders, with their subconscious mind through hypnosis and NLP as well.
Yeah, so a decade of working alongside with traders, working with their subconscious mind. That's it. Let's talk
Yes, I mean, I
about
will.
this.
It's a combination. It's a
Something
combination.
that caught my brain off. Let's talk
So
about it.
yeah, so I've been a hypnotherapist for over a decade as well, and yeah, I specialize in trading psychology, and it's a combination. Like when I work with clients one to one, it's a combination of coaching, hypnosis, and I'm also an NLP practitioner as well. So the sessions are quite mixed, but I have found, that our subconscious mind is very powerful. It's also our very good friend. And any changes can be made as long as the person wants to change, they have an open mind. But hypnosis really works well for trading psychology because we know that trading can be very challenging and very emotional.
I have a question. What do you mean by hypnosis? Like NLP training?
Yeah, so hypnosis is, it works with the subconscious mind. There's a lot of people think that hypnosis is stage hypnosis, but it's very, very different. When I work with a client, it's literally about guiding my client into a very relaxed place. And the reason I do this is because they're more relaxed, their conscious mind is more relaxed, their subconscious mind is more open and receptive to absorbing like good suggestions and images. So it's about working with the subconscious mind to start to change things, whether it's a negative trading behavior, limiting beliefs, creating like discipline, a good mindset, whatever that person's struggling with, will work on through their subconscious mind. But it's very relaxing, it's very safe, and it's extremely effective.
Okay, and how do you start it? How do you start the progress of coaching, of training, once a
How
trader
do
comes to you?
Okay, how do I start the process? So
Yeah.
we'll talk about, their challenges. We'll talk about what they've been experiencing, how long they've been trading. The more information I get about, my potential client, the better I can help them. So we will discuss if like one of the courses is better for them that I offer, or for us to work together one to one. So, there's some traders I've been working with for like a couple of months. There's some traders that I've been working with for over 8 years. It just depends.
Well, 8 years. That's a lot.
It doesn't mean it takes that, that much to see change. Absolutely not. But it's because, a lot of clients come back because they just want to improve their confidence a bit more, or they just want to take their trading to the next level. But yeah, I mean, a lot of traders get a lot of value from the sessions.
Okay, and what are the steps for hypnosis? So you said the trader needs to be relaxed, right? So how do you do it?
With the sound of my voice. Literally. Yeah, it's literally, it's not.
Actually, the sound of your voice is really relaxing.
Sorry.
The sound of your voice is really relaxing, man.
Thank
Like,
you. It comes with practice.
for me, when I go to like a therapist, like in the space of psychology and everything else, like I think that one of the greatest adventures is to go onto a therapist with a great vocal experience because it really makes you feel much more calm, you know. And by the
Yeah.
way, do you think that your vocal is like there's something relaxing with it?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it comes with, years of experience. Some people will say, can you just get out of your hypnotic voice? But because I've been doing it for so long, I kind of have that tonality, really. So thank you.
Okay, I want to ask you about the process in general. How do you coach traders to get better, right? To get better performance and so on. So let's say a trader comes to you, and let's say he identifies some issues that is gonna appear in his trading. How should he approach? How should he approach trading?
Okay, so when I work with traders, I don't just work on things like discipline. I don't just work on helping improve confidence and patience. I get to the root cause of what's going on. So what we'll do is we'll try and identify the triggers and the reasons why they are doing what they're doing. Now, what we do all day, every day, including trading, is 90 to 95% subconscious. So if a trader is self-sabotaging their success or there's a lot of fear coming in, we need to find out why. Because we know that trading can cause a lot of fear. It can bring up a lot of fear. And when traders feel that fear, they start to trade emotionally. But for me, it's trying to identify what's going on, whether they have a limiting belief, where this fear is coming from, and then we will work on a very deep level to identify and to work through the root causes. Now, of course, I do work with things like discipline, patience, peak performance, but I also work with the root cause as well, and that's why, my clients get a huge amount of success, is because I work on the 360. And so it can really help a trader to go from where they are, from self-sabotaging, from feeling stressed, to trading calm, making better decisions, and so forth.
What do you mean by self-sabotaging?
So a lot of traders self-sabotage, and they self-sabotage because trading brings up a lot of fear. So they're not trading logically, they're trading emotionally, they're trading from fear. And, so that's, and it causes self-sabotaging behavior like overtrading, revenge trading, not being able to accept losses, which is very common for some traders. So that's kind of forms of self-sabotage.
And how do you discover what's the issue behind self-sabotaging?
That's a good question. Sometimes it can take time. But in saying that, our subconscious mind knows everything about us. So the way I work with my client is we'll work on a subconscious level, communicate, knowing that their subconscious mind knows all the issues. And I just work in a way where we just work through that on a subconscious level.
And by the way, let me ask you, is it a service that like traders would like to have? Like honestly, like I don't know. I think that the ego among traders is incredibly high. And once you get inside of the market that the ego, the surface level of ego is incredibly high, you might have a trouble working on psychology among people. So I would like to ask you a question. How do you defeat this issue when people people comes together and trading, and how do you actually help them in order to understand how they can trade better over time.
So the ego is very common, and the ego is common because we don't like losing. As humans, we do not like losing, and we certainly don't like losing money. So the ego can come in. And when the ego comes in, it can cause, again, revenge trading, over trading, wanting to beat the market. So the first thing is I always ask permission from my clients. Look, the ego's coming in. Are you happy if we work through this? Because sometimes it depends on a person's personality as well. If a person is a perfectionist, they're more likely to find that their ego comes in because they want things to be perfect. Now, we know trading can't always be perfect. There's too many uncertainties. So to answer your question, yes, we would work on that because it can be a big factor, as we know.
Yeah, but that's an incredible obstacle. This is an obstacle, and there is a way to cure it. And I don't really realize how do you cure it, because this is a major challenge by the end of the day.
Yeah. Sometimes it can take time, but if the person's got an open mind, the trader's got an open mind, and they want to change, the changes can be easy. Now, it's not about changing who the person is, but it's about making their life easier. And even if they go in and it's about having acceptance in certain areas of trading, accepting that, they can't always be right. Accepting that there are losses, because we know in trading there's going to be losses. So it's really about finding a good balance where they can still be driven, but they're more kind of relaxed, and where the ego is a little bit more detached.
Mm-hmm. Can you please give me an example of a client that came to you and he actually committed to a process, and how you have designed the way to actually help him get to his desired outcome? Because I think, like, in my perspective, I'm not a psychologist, but I think, in my perspective, this might be like a different like real individual approach on each and every single trader. So this might be involving with more and more desirable outcomes that your client might want. So I would like to ask you, how would you think about a client at first, and how would you design a process to him? Because by the end of the day, you will be able to lead him to his desirable outcome.
So if we have a consultation, which is generally what happens before we start working together, then it's a time where we talk about their challenges, who they are, their experience. It's really in the first session, which is generally around 90 minutes. And I ask a lot of questions, because that's a time where I start to identify what's going on. We get to know each other better. We talk about their goals, their challenges. Sometimes I do go back to their childhood if I feel like there's some relevance around beliefs. We'll talk about even their relationship to money and success, because the psychology of money can also be a huge factor in their trading success and where they've got so far. So
really,
yeah,
how do you identify it? How do you identify it?
Well,
it's a measurement that you need to consider. But how do you consider how do they behaved with money when they were kids, and over time, I don't know, their philosophy of money might change multiple times. Like, on my end, I can tell you this is the story. I raised up by a philosophy A. And right now, I think differently about money, because they turn on being an entrepreneur. So once you turn on being an entrepreneur, you think differently about the way you need to make money.
Yeah. So, if I feel that by their language and their tonality and even their body language, and I ask questions and I see that their body language is kind of off, I will understand. I'll know if they've got any limiting beliefs around their relationship to money. Now, a lot of people have grown up with the scarcity mindset, that money doesn't grow on trees and things like that. And what's happening then is they've got these beliefs. So yeah, it's one of the areas that I also work on if I feel that a trader is struggling with their psychology and their relationship to money.
Speaking of the retail traders, because I guess that most of your clients are retailers. What do you think it's what do you think is the number one reason that stops them from making money consistently? And why do they procrastinate? Because retail traders tend to procrastinate. When they lose money, they got their pockets completely empty. They tend to procrastinate much more, and they fail to try, which is, even worse than fail once you try.
Yeah.
Fail under reputation, of course.
Yeah. So the two main reasons why traders struggle in regards to their psychology is, number one, fear. Fear is the most common, strongest emotion. And secondly, limiting beliefs. They're the two driving forces that self-sabotage and cause traders to go in a negative cycle. So say, for instance, I get contacted by many traders who say, look, I have a great strategy. My risk management is good, but I can't execute. Or I'm cutting winners too early, or I'm feeling fearful about executing, or I'm blowing accounts. And this can happen. And the reason why traders, or one of the reasons why traders procrastinate, is especially after setbacks and losses. What they're doing is they're avoiding and procrastinating because they don't want to feel the pain of that cycle, of the emotions, of the fear, of the stress, of the anxiety. So that is why they're procrastinating, because they do not want to feel those emotions. And of course, they don't want to experience losses.
But so why do you call it self-sabotage? Because, this is like a really comprehensive way to sabotage yourself. But I don't think when you're having a hard time executing your trades, or worse, you're leaving money on table because you're fearful, then I think that point should be cured properly. Because I think that you do have a goodwill to succeed, but once you discover what your goodwill is, you need to break it out. On my end, when I was trading, when I was starting my trading journey, I tried. I think patience was the number one occasion for my failure with trading. And once I saw that I was not successful, I went to mentors and they taught me their strategies, but they did not taught me their mentality and how do they remain consistent in the market, which I think that's the gap that they need to bridge within their learning curve. But it doesn't really matter. I still lack of the right behavior once I trade. So I would like to ask you, Louise, how do you cure such situation? Because that might solve my perspective of trading, or not leaving money on the table, or not losing money and being with empty pockets.
Okay, yeah. So what was the question regarding that?
So my question is, I have a pretty painful issue, which is patience. How should I cure it?
Okay.
What would you tell to me? All right, yeah, my philosophy about money is this and this and this. I want money right now, or I am less patient about having money, and I want to enter as much trade as possible because I want to make money. Yeah, let's hypothetically say that it works that way. How do I need to work on myself?
Okay, good question. Now, we know that a lot of traders struggle with patience. Again, patience is trying to find the root cause. Question, are you patient in other areas of your life? If you're not, then it's not to do with trading. It's just your personality. Now, if you are patient, generally in other areas of your life, then it's something to do with trading that's triggering you. So a lot of traders can feel impatient because there is an urgency. There's an urgency to make it. There's an urgency to make money. There's an urgency to quit their 9-to-5 job. And so what they feel is they feel impatient because they just want to be in the markets. They just want to be trading and they just want to get to where they want to be. So that can be one of the things. Another thing is attention span. You know, we've got humans now have a very shorter attention span than we used to. So that can be another case. Now, another thing is many traders want to jump in the market as well because they want to feel that dopamine chemical, that feel-good chemical. So that can cause impatience and FOMO. So it's looking at the areas, but to help you with better patience, breath work. 100%. It is one of the best techniques for traders. It will take you from a very heightened state of stress down to calm. It will help you to be more patient, more relaxed, more focused. So breath work would help, and meditation, because meditation is a good practice to kind of center and ground yourself.
Mm-hmm. I see. Wow. Those when I do podcasts, I have like a much more fluent attitude, but right now I really think about the things that you're saying because I really consider them as a pains that I own, and I should cure them as much ASAP. Like I need to cure those problems. This is why I'm left fluent, because I'm thinking. I would like to give you another occasion, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that impatience is none of my problem. I am patient, but I risk too much, all right? I risk too much because I do not believe within my execution. I don't believe, once I execute trades, I don't believe in myself. Or I have like I'm feeling powerless to the markets because I don't know, they're moving and they're dynamic and they're do whatever they want to be doing. But I am, by the end of the day, I'm doubting myself 3 times before I put my stop loss in the place that I wanted to place. And I place it in the wrong place because I don't trust myself. How should I cure this? How should I cure this occasion?
If I was working together with one-to-one, I would ask the trader their history around blowing accounts and their risk management. And if it wasn't in a good place, I would say to them, stop until you sort your mindset out. Because if your risk management is not in a good place, then you either need to go back to demo or paper, or you need to just kind of like go into micros, or, just until you work on your mindset. But
I will tell you, I will tell you, Louise, I have learned the theory to my risk management from my mentor, and he's a super successful trader. All right, hypothetically speaking. Now, I know how to execute properly this risk management, but I do not trust myself. I do not trust myself as a trader, or as I self-doubt myself. I doubt myself each and every single time once I execute about like where to place my stop loss, because I do not trust myself and I am fearful of losing money. How should I cure this situation? Because if I am doubting myself and I'm doubting my execution and I'm doubting my confidence when trading, how do I need to go back over it? And again, I know the theory to for risk management, specifically to that strategy or strategies, doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good question. So generally, this would happen because of past trading mistakes. So traders, when they experience losses and setbacks, it creates this negative loop process. And what happens is a trader becomes more fearful. They have more self-doubt. They'll second guess themselves. Some even avoid trading altogether because of the past. So to overcome this, there's many different techniques and practices that they can do, including visualization, affirmations. When they hear that negative self-talk coming in, which a lot of traders do have at some point in their trading career, it is about challenging the mindset, and it's about changing your thought patterns. Because if a trader's saying, I don't trust in myself, I don't believe in myself, guess what's going to show up? Guess what's going to happen? Guess how they're going to feel? You have to start challenging your thoughts and change your language. And then it will slowly become subconscious. So that's the first thing I would do. And then visualization, which is really powerful as well.
Mhm. Well, let's put myself inside of your shoes, all right?
Mhm.
When a prospect or a patient, let's call it a patient, comes alongside, um, how do you think of a way to help him cure his problems?
From experience. So
Yeah, of course, out of your experience, but this is a highly valuable knowledge that people tend to prevent or avoid, and and I really think that, when I put myself on their shoes or on their characteristic, I do think about a possible way to construct a way or to construct an individual approach, like based on like it depends on your patients. And actually, how do you design or how do you think about the way to cure their problems? Because this is, of course, experience plays the massive role here, but how do you start thinking or diagnosing their cure problem? Because most of the time, they will not be able to even admit that they have a lack of patience, or they have lack of integrity, or they have a lack of, I don't know, understanding. This is a problem by itself, but they do not know how to commit that they own this problem.
okay,
So how do
yeah.
you think about those occasions? How do you try to understand what their problem really is? Like, this is a closer. This is like a more of a sales technique.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
No, so when clients come to see me, they're generally very desperate. They've got to that stage where they cannot continue. They either quit trading, this is their last hope, this is their last, this is their last thing that they can do. So when they come to me, they're completely honest and open, and they say, look, I know it's not my strategy. These are the things I'm going through, and we'll talk through this. We'll talk about, I will work through all the way from the day they started trading up until now. And I also work very intuitively as well. Sometimes mostly in the first session, I'll start to pick up things. I'll just start to know things. And then I'll ask them questions and they would go, yes, that's it. And then that's when I know I'm on the right path as well. So what happens then is we'll talk about the goals and the changes they want to see from our work together. And then we'll create sort of like, I'll discuss how I'm going to help them. Obviously, I take notes in sessions, and I'll go through everything that I'm going to be working on before the hypnosis. And they're always very happy and comfortable with my process in regards to what we're doing on a hypnosis subconscious level.
Wow. I will tell you that I am completely drawn onto my thoughts, because I really think of my journey and your answers right now, and I think, God damn, I should have reached out earlier. Never mind. Yeah,
Never too
so
late.
no, it never is too late, of course. Wow, that's that's a goddamn diagnosis. So let us, the last podcast that we have recorded, the last 10 minutes were all about like personal stories and like where what do you remember as the number one experience that took you from a point A to point B, and it was incredibly impactful to your career. So let's speak about, like, you know, more of the stories that took you to the place you are right now.
Okay, well, okay, so
As
basically,
a trading coach.
so trading's been in my life since I was about 5 years old. Trading has
5 years
always
old.
been in my life.
Oh.
Yes, my family.
Lego was a part of my life when I was 5 years old.
I wasn't trading when I was 5. No, my uncles were very successful traders, so I kind of always grew up with like trading
Yeah,
being.
this is a traditional approach of the family.
Yeah, and then for myself, I traded Forex for many years. I was a trader myself. I love everything about trading. I love the markets, I love the dynamics, the software, and most importantly, I love helping traders. But for me, I mean, I traveled for about 2 decades. I lived abroad for 2 decades, and when I came back to the UK, I became a hypnotherapist. I was trading at the time. And then I got approached by my first client, trading client. He's actually now a very good friend today. And we worked together. He saw great changes within just a few weeks. And then I realized there was a massive gap in the market. There was a lot of traders out there, but there was not enough psychology help. So that's when I founded Hypnosis for Traders. And that's a bit about my story.
Sounds awesome. Wow. All right. Would you like to tell us one more story before we leave? I would love to hear one more story.
Yeah. Okay, I've got many stories. Do you want to know a story about my background or about how I've helped a trader, or what would you like to know?
This is up to you. Like, go with your mind, go with your imagination, go with your experience. Just follow your heart.
Okay.
This is a place we follow our hearts.
Okay. Well, there's a story I'm going to share about a client I saw. And it's a very kind of unique story, and it is to do around the psychology of money. Now, obviously, I won't share his name because it's confidential, but we worked together, and he said to me in the first or second session, look, I can only get to a certain dollar amount. And it was pretty specific. He would get, I'm just going to say $25,000. Like, he couldn't get past that. And I was like, there is something going on here, subconscious. Like, he had we call it a money blueprint, what we value ourselves against a certain amount of money. So we did something called muscle testing, and it confirmed that he did have a money blueprint. That was the amount, and we cleared it within 1 session. So that's... Yeah, it's a pretty powerful story, actually.
It is.
Yeah. How the mind works, how powerful it is. And that came from his childhood. That came from something that happened in his childhood. And, we cleared it. And the changes were remarkable afterwards.
Awesome. So I would like to thank you, Louise, for the incredible experience. I really enjoyed listening to your understanding about how people approach the market and how they need to cure themselves. Even the greatest traders need to cure themselves out of negative experience, and they need to go under an evolvement process. Like, not just change their attitude but evolving them. So I really think it was incredibly powerful conversation, and I'm really grateful for your presence here today.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.